Welcome back to another episode of Hoops and Football. As usual, I am Shannon. What do we say? We all can probably sit here and agree it has been a rough week. I think we can probably also agree that using the I word now, I'm going to just start using it. I think using the word injury not using the word injury doesn't do shit anymore. If you guys watched the game on the weekend, you'd understand by what I mean. Richmond versus Geelong, there was a stage. I didn't get the chance to watch every bit of it live, as I had my kids in with me. Richmond 7 goals, 10-52 to Geelong 18-6, 124. Going into, I think it was the end of the first quarter, we had Sam Lawler down with a hamstring. Jasper Algor was off with an ankle. They also had, I'm pretty sure it was McIntosh out as well, and Tom Brown with an ankle as well. So at one stage, it was only Dion Presti was the only one left on our bench that wasn't injured. That's how bad it was for us. Obviously, we'll get that straight out of the way. The Sam Lawler injury. I've seen people criticise Ben Serple, the Richmond Football Club, about his bad management. Kane Corns did it last night on his Foddy AFL show, having a got Richmond for playing him. Look, Richmond gave him 6 or 7 weeks off for his injury. Also gave him an extra week as a backup as a precaution, to make sure that he did not re-injure the hamstring the same way. By all reports, it's a different type of injury. It's not that whole running straight. It happened when he got tackled, so obviously it means it must have moved in a different direction or a different way, and it went off. To me, it looks like it's a definite season ender. Just by looking at the pain that was in his face, walking off and sitting on the bench. And at the same time, I'm not against that. If they say, look, he could come back for the last round or so, I think it's time to wrap him up in the cotton wool, take him off, get it right, get a good preseason into him, so this never happens again. Send him over to Germany, get him to the person that helped Dylan Grimes with his hamstring injuries. We all know Grimes, he had some real bad ones when he started. So, Jasper Algor, I'm not sure. He played the rest of the game. So, Tom Brown and McIntosh. So, I don't know if they're all going to pull up well. But we could definitely also agree that we put up a fight in the last half. First quarter, yes. I think not having Tom Lynch really threw us around. Noel Bolter was forward. I don't think he's a forward. Blight went back, so everyone was kind of thrown around this one. We definitely were butchering the ball a fair bit. I understand Geelong is a great team. Geelong is up there with Collingwood competing for the flag this year. But we also didn't do ourselves any favours by the way we were kicking it, delivering it. It just seemed like we were under more pressure than we were, or the players would have that perceived pressure, and it just felt like we ended up butchering it a fair bit. Look, and that's kind of what happens when teams so young up against a team that's so experienced. It just gets to you quite easy. But look, there was more negatives than positives, but I'm also going to try and focus on the positive, as I always try to. Normally I read through a lot of the players and go through their stats and kind of give you a breakdown. But today I think I'm just going to go down through a few players that I was really impressed by. Either from their first time doing it, or maybe they're being on a consistent basis and we're seeing the same thing over and over. And it's something we're looking for as a club. We're not meant to be in these games. We're not meant to be winning these games. We're meant to be looking for small signs. I think we all got a little bit carried away with 3 wins by the first half of the season. We may not get another win for the rest of the year. Not guaranteed. We do have North Melbourne West Coast, so you don't know. Can't guarantee nothing. Also have Essendon, who are injury riddled this week coming up. So We're not 100% guaranteed, but I'm just going to break down a few of the players that I was really happy to see how they performed. I'm going to start off with Sam Banks. 26 disposals, 18 kicks, 8 handballs, 6 marks, 6 tackles. So that running half back. 355 metres gained. So he's keeping up in the competition for metres gained. I think we all could definitely probably agree that Banks is probably solidified his spot as that half back for Jaden Short. I don't think he's allowing Jaden Short to come back into that position anytime soon. And I was really impressed. Ryan Mansell probably had his best game of the season. 3 goals, 22 disposals, 13 kicks, 9 handballs, 8 marks, which is quite impressive actually considering how badly we were kicking the ball, how much pressure they were doing on us and not allowing us to get the ball going, and 4 tackles. So 2 tackles and 423 metres gained and 1 goal assist as well. So look, that's really impressive. Really happy to see Mansell come back considering, coming into this year, I really thought he would be our most consistent forward player. I know everyone's probably going to say it should be Tom Lynch, but it wasn't. Tom Lynch has just come off 2 years of an injury-riddled chunks, so Mansell had a really good last year. I think he kicked over 30 goals last year. He's probably one of our best players. And I thought he'd kind of waltz back into the season, do the same thing. Maybe that suspension really kind of threw him around a bit. Reley Jr., 1 goal, 19 disposals, 14 kicks, 5 handballs, 9 marks, so that's another same thing. 3 tackles, 1 clearance, and 395 metres gained. We could all nearly agree, probably his best game of his career at Richmond. Now, I don't think he had many CBAs, but I think he was given the license to go up the field and get the ball, which I think was a really good move to do, probably similar to what the D's do with Cozzy Pickett. There's a Jonty Foddy's goal, or his only goal he kicks, kind of, if you could probably turn and say it is Aussierules' goal. Down in that back flank, he got the ball 3 times. I was going to say 3 attempts, but it wasn't 3 attempts because he actually successfully got the ball 3 times. Got the ball, handballed it, the player got tackled, he got it again, handballed it, got it back again, kicked it to Mansell, and Mansell was able to hit up Jonty Foddy. Once Jonty Foddy doubled back down and came forward again and led up. So really good game from Morris. This should now shows Adam Uze that he can play midfield and he's actually good at playing the midfield, and we need to give him that opportunity to show us why he can play midfield and still kicks a goal. So he's still hitting the score impact. Seth Campbell, I know he didn't get a goal, but it's still, he's still showing really good improvement signs. 19 disposals, 1 behind, 8 kicks, 11 handballs, 5 marks, 1 tackle, 3 clearances. So I'm not sure if those clearances are centre bounce clearances or they're stoppage clearances. But it's good to see him getting up the ground. He's a good ball user. He has speed. So it's good that maybe the club's finally realised that you can't just keep having the same 4 slow midfielders. Unfortunately, it's bad to say. But Ooze, and I believe in Ooze as a coach, but he needs to start making adjustments to the midfield, especially the CBA. Start injecting young players with speed, because that's what we need. And unfortunately, this is how the AFL is running right now. So, definitely needs to happen. Look, a lot of people I think will turn around and say that Jacob Blight had a bad game. Look, I don't think we could all say that anybody had a super game, but Jacob Blight coming back from his first game, went straight back to the back line. I thought he would play as a forward, but obviously Noel Bolter will be out for the next 2 weeks, so they've gone with the whole, we'll give him a chance to. He'll nearly get a month's worth of playing time in the AFL as a defender. So 17 disposals, 14 kicks, 3 handballs, 8 marks. So he came into this week's game, and he'd been averaging 10 marks a game in the AFL, in the VFL, and just he's got 8 in his first game. So that shows you that he actually was doing a fair bit. Seeing a few people criticising him for not taking marks, but he still took 8 marks. Look, maybe that could have been 10, but it's still pretty good. 1 tackle, 402 metres gained. I think he nearly led the whole entire team in metres gained, and he actually played 97% time on ground. So that's a lot of time on field and not coming off. Him and Broad were the same, so that kind of sucks. Oh, and that's right, sorry, and I just realised this as I was flicking down the roster. Hugo Smith did his hamstring as well, so it's going to be a tough one to see who comes in the next couple of weeks. Look, Jonty Foddy wasn't his greatest game, but I'm not disappointed in him. I know a lot of people probably are because he's not kicking goals. Because he kicked 1 goal, 2, had 9 disposals, 4 marks, 1 goal assist. But you imagine what Jonty Foddy is in 2 years. He's a player that is having his goal slump right now. But one thing I will say is he never dips his head down whatsoever. I was on the fan cam with Michael from the Big Tiger Footy Cast, and he agreed. No matter what Jonty does, he never puts his head down. He never drops his confidence. He knows he's a good player, and that it's going to click eventually. He's going to kick these goals. There's a game this year he might kick 4 or 5 and just light it up. And I also don't agree with people who were kind of saying, "Oh no, we should have drafted Joe Shanahan." And look, that's your opinion. You are very well within your right to have that opinion. But let's not bash Jonty Foddy on his first ever season at a club that's rebuilding, because it's quite harsh. No Tom Lynch, maybe in going into his 3rd year where he's had experience, he's been around Tom Lynch long enough that he's had a help. He can learn, and he hasn't learned, then we can have that discussion that maybe we should have. But for now, I'm loving his work ethic so far. Look, I was just going to flick through some of the disposals. Look, inside 50 wasn't great. I don't also believe that inside 50 percentage was horrible again. We've really got to work on that. They were at 57%. We were at 35%. Our season average is 45%. So we were down quite high. They look, we even on hitouts 41-41. So obviously it wasn't the ruck that we were losing, but clearances we lost. Overall, they were 42. We were 40. We were 33. So they were above their season average. We were below our season average. Centre clearances they pretty much bet us by double. We averaged 10. We got 6. And they averaged 12. They got 15. So smash us there. We broke even on the stoppages at 27 each. So that's not too bad. Look, we didn't lose disposals by that much. They were 387. We were 359. So that shows you we were with them. It just shows you how much more damaging they are when they have the ball. And probably how much more skilled they are when by hand and foot compared to where we are, which is fair enough. We could probably say they're 6 to 7 years ahead of where we are right now. So this shouldn't be a shock to anyone. But the only one that was a little bit concerning that Michael brought up the other night was 12 tackles to 1 inside 50. Look, their season average is 14, so they were low on their season average. And then ours was 1, and our season average is about 8. So I don't know whether that was just how good their defense was with getting the ball out, or was that just our effort and intent was just down. Did we put our head down and go, well, we're going to lose this one no matter what? Did the Sam Lawler hamstring injury really hamper us as well? So look, a lot to learn from. I think we can say a couple of players showed us some good things, a lot to improve on. So look, before I go, I just want you guys to remember that this is year 1 of a rebuild. Geelong is 10 years probably ahead of us as a club. So don't put your head down. Get around the club, get around the footy players, support them because they're doing it tough. I know we are as well, but there will be some sort of light at the end of the tunnel in a couple of years as well. So, all right, guys, as always, go Tigers and stay safe.